Good morning and welcome to B Stocks. I hope you're keeping well. A bit warm, it's a bit chilly. Today we're going to have a discussion about government regulations on manufacturing and matters environmental conversation. And in the house we have Ebenezer Amadi, the Program Manager, Sustainable Inclusive Business at KEPSA. He's right here in the house. And that's the conversation we shall have. On the posters as well, I know you noticed we had Joyce Gashugi, who unfortunately couldn't make it because of an emergency that popped up, but we are more than ready. Ebenezer, welcome, man.
Thank you.
It's good
to
have
having me on the show.
I know we normally serve a lot of drinks, but you came with yours, so let me just pass it to you.
Also,
welcome.
thank you.
And I think I like the bottle. We can talk about it. Is it labeled your name?
Yeah, it has my name in it, yes.
Okay. Yeah. What does it take? Maybe, hopefully, you can tell me your plug.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, if you can kindly tell a friend that we are live on all I wanted to say on all Ebenezer pages, sorry. On all B Stocks pages. That's faced well, and even for the ones who have tuned in on Zoom. So thanks a lot for joining us. We are more than ready to go. Thank you and welcome. Now, I wanted to start this conversation with just getting to understand who's in the likes, but starting by asking the question, when people ask who Ebenezer is, who do you say you are?
Actually, normally Ebenezer is normally like an icebreaker because it's an 8-letter word, so quite long, and sometimes that's always a conversation starter for people. But
You're right.
I am, as I said, a program manager at the Kenya Private Sector Alliance.
Yeah.
But beyond that, a DG school dropout, finance expert, governance expert, once a dancer. When I was in campus, and just and I have an understanding of business, the way business run, and a passion for sustainability.
Okay. DJ dropout.
Yeah.
Okay.
I dropped out of DJ school, but it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't the instructor.
Oh, they
were skipping class.
Or you were skipping class.
They were skipping class.
Oh. Okay. That's a good one.
And that's how I dropped out of junior school. I need to find a better one.
There's still room. There's an online course, I guess. I
like the practical aspect yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See me behind the tent. I'll tell you more.
Okay, nice one.
Let's talk about KEPSA. KEPSA is so large. I didn't know there was it feels like there's a lot of, everybody thinks KEPSA thinks just about just businesses, but there are all these programs that run there.
Yeah.
And I know this could form a whole conversation with just to talk about KEPSA, but in a nutshell, could you elaborate a bit more on your program and when it started?
Yeah.
And what you're aiming at? Yeah.
Great. So let me start with the organization KEPSA, Kenya Private Sector Alliance.
Yeah.
Kenya Private Sector Alliance is the apex body of the private sector. So we represent the private sector. So we are the voice of the private sector.
Yeah.
And we have more or less like, say, two arms. So we have public-private dialogue, and we also have the social-economic arm. So within the public-private dialogue conversation, we try to support businesses to create an enabling environment. So we have conversations with government through what I just described as a public-private dialogue. We call it PPD.
Yeah.
If you hear about anything of the sort, that's what it stands for. But we have 18 sector boards, 18. So they mirror the ministries that we have, and we have conversations with every ministry on policy matters, laws, regulations, policies, as well as just looking at how to create a better economy and transition Kenya through an export growth economy.
Okay.
Under the social economic arm, we have programs that are running. For example, Ajira. I know you've heard about that, to the Ministry of ICT.
Yes.
We have programs on MSME. We also have the Sustainable Inclusive Business.
Okay.
So it's an interesting story because Sustainable Inclusive Business began as a project funded by the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands back in the day 2015.
Okay.
Then what we were supposed to do is to transition the project into a program. So we actually called it as a knowledge center under the Kenya Private Sector Alliance.
Oh.
So the project ended in August 31st, 2022. Still remember the date.
Yes.
We're now transitioned into a program.
Okay.
And the program has four thematic areas. We have circular economy, we have climate change, people power. It's basically talking about inclusion. And the last one is redefining business values.
Okay.
So we're talking about how the private sector contributes to achieving the sustainable development goals.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting, but before we get into the exact things that you're doing there, and because I don't know how business are thriving this time around, I think there's a lot of complaints here and there, and you stand at a place where you see how sustainable are these businesses, or are they dying, because there's a lot of comments about the length of businesses that start in this country, especially SMEs. And, and
actually, actually, a study shows that most of the businesses close shop between 5 to 10 years. So they just go under. And there are different reasons why companies go under. It could be because of governance issues. You might see billion businesses going under because of governance issues.
Yeah.
And also just the difference in terms of markets. The markets change sometimes. For example, if you had a shop, right, that's leveraging on COVID, and you had masks stored somewhere. Now, people are not buying. But back in 2020, people had to diversify. So the person who was selling peanuts or groundnuts had to diversify and also sell masks.
Yes.
So the sales also increased because of the mask.
That's true.
So market diversity is also, or dynamics is also another issue.
Okay.
Talk about also the political state, also as well as just general the economy. And of course, COVID, some businesses also went down during COVID and people closed shop.
Yeah.
I remember one of my friends had to close their office, literally, and just start all over again when COVID was, I mean, we kind of
quite a number
coming
of
back
people
from
were
it.
affected. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I'm just thinking about your title, Sustainable Inclusive Business, and I wanted to ask you, when you sit where you sit right now, and you know, you're at a place where you're able to have the eagle's eye view of how the business environment is in the country, and I'm sure on the sustainable angle, you advise even, you know, the different sectors, because I believe all sectors must, in a way, have some sustainable way of doing it.
Yes.
Maybe these are assumptions, but you will clarify for me. But the question is, what's the state of doing business right now, in your view?
Instead of doing business. So someone asked me the same question, but in a different way. And my mind works in 3D. So I told him, it's almost like if you compare it to driving,
Yes.
you're kind of on a road that has some potholes, so you're trying to maneuver through. So that's how it feels right now in terms of the state of business in the country or state of the economy. Because there are some issues, starting with the recent past demonstrations. I mean, businesses were closing shop.
Yeah.
We actually saw Retrack telling us, because Retrack is also one of our members, that the retail store lost about 1.2 billion shilling. NSC, we are at NSC right now, just reported that during that time they also lost about 20 billion Kenyan shillings.
You're right.
We're seeing a decrease in tourists coming in. The tourism industry employs about 3.1 million people.
It's a lot of people.
So you can guess if people are not coming in, the guys will try and just reduce the employees, just trying to reduce their cost to the bare minimums. So it's quite a difficult place, and of course, generally the economies in different parts of the world are not doing really well because of, let's say, the war that's going on in Russia, which is leading to increase in fuel, and of course, fuel has a ripple effect to the economy because of transportation.
Yeah.
Because if you have to bring your goods from the farm, you have to use either road or railway, or you have to bring it to, as cargo, and the prices definitely will go up.
Okay, so are you having discussions with, of course, definitely I assume that if you mirror every ministry in the government, that means you're having discussions with them.
Most definitely.
Are you pushing an agenda to help us out? Because you see Kenyans out there, I think we can't ignore the fact that we're in a man season, if I may call it that.
What do you do? Let me clarify.
Yes.
Our perspective is a business perspective.
Yes.
So even the numbers that I'm telling you is because whatever happens as a business person, if the door, if you close your doors, you're counting losses because you say, if, for example, every day you had a sale of 10,000 shillings, then it's not, there's nothing coming in.
Yeah.
So it means you've lost 10,000 for that particular day. If you had a kiosk and your sale for that particular day was 1,000 shillings, it means your loss is 1,000. So we're looking at it from the business perspective.
Yeah.
Of course, these dynamics affect business, and of course, then we also do talk to both sides. I will give you an example. We have a program that we normally run that normally speaks to the political divide before, during, and after election.
And after elections.
Yeah.
It's good. And I understand, because whatever season we are in, you need to be talking to the current government. I want us to get back a bit to our subject of the day, you know, but when I look at you, I see you as a body. It's very hard to just push you aside to just sustainability. And yet, when we hear KEPSA, we know you guys should be talking about us a bit here and there.
we are most definitely talking about, because creating an enable environment includes stability in the economy, right?
You're
so
right.
when you have a stable political space, then that means that businesses will also have an opportunity to thrive. That's an enabling environment that we're talking about.
Absolutely. So let's just now endear the people. When you're talking about sustainable, inclusive business, what's your expectations for businesses who are probably your members, and I'm sure there are people who will be asking as well, will be explaining to you how they can join KEPSA. What is the expectation for you? What are you aiming at in your program? It's no longer a program.
Now it's a program, yes.
It's a program.
Now it's
in
a
your
program.
What are you pushing?
So the agenda back in the day was to do two things.
Yes.
One, very simple, create awareness on sustainable business practices, and two, support the private sector to adopt the best practices.
Okay.
Then now it transitioned into the four thematic areas. For example, when you're talking about circularity, we're talking about redesigning our waste.
Yes.
When you're talking about climate change, you're looking at you plugging into the adaptation and mitigation measures.
Okay.
When you're talking about people power, you're talking about inclusivity. When you're talking about redefining business values, basically you're talking about you plugging into SDGs. So for a company, we might narrow it down into three things, very simple.
Yeah.
The reporting that they call ESG.
Yes.
Environmental, social and governance.
Yes.
So I want you to improve on your governance and also have diversity. We have been seeing, I'll keep saying this because we are sitting at NSC, right?
Yes. It's okay.
I mean, was encouraging diversity within the board. I remember back in the day when I used to support, while I was working for the water sector at SNV, Netherlands Development Organization, we were supporting NIVA was. So it almost sounded like NIVAS.
I know.
NIVA was. Sorry. That's Naivasha Water and Sanitation Company. But now it's called Naivawasco.
Okay.
And also looking at the diversity of the board at that time. And we were just encouraging them to look at the diversity, especially in the level of skills and also gender balance. Okay. So looking at improving that, because then the systems in the company are able to help you thrive and help you to have some backstopping mechanisms to look out for the level of risk, and also looking ahead, because strategy development lies with the board, and the management then implements. But you're also supposed not to have interference of the management